What's up, everyone? Once again, this is Nate with It Takes a Christian Village. Now, today I have a young lady. I guess it's okay to say young lady, but she'll reveal she's, I think, in her 30s or 40s. But she has such a compelling story. It, it actually is a heart touching, maybe an impossible, tear jerking story. And I did inform her that we have a lot more to talk about on this subject, and some things she shared we still need to elaborate on it, and some things she still hasn't talked about in it. So she already know that we got another session we have to do after we finish this particular session. So at the end of it, just keep it in your head that we're going to be coming back again to finish up our conversation with her. But until then, check it out. Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Nate with It Takes a Christian Village. I have once again, got another special treat for you all. We got Minister Candace Green with us today. Candace, what's going on? Say hello.
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to be here. I bring you greetings all the way from South
Oh,
Florida.
right there. And like I said, I'm like, man, maybe I should have came and wore a suit. I mean, I feel out of place right now, but it's
No,
it's
you're not out of place. First impressions, and I believe even on your bad days, you look your best.
all right. I appreciate it.
Yes.
So, hey, I've known Candace. I've known you for a while. We performed in some plays together, stuff like that, and not just that you have a acting ability, you have a tremendous voice. Now don't be surprised I tell you to hit a note later on. I'm just you let me know if you're good, but you do. You have a phenomenal voice. But through all that those gifts and those talents, I know there are other stories, other things that you would like to share. Some things I know, and some things I have not been privileged to yet. So, hey, let's dig in and let's get started. So, my first question to you is, talk to us about how it was with you as you were coming up as a child, because this podcast is about trying to reach the kids, trying to have something positive to say to them, and to relate to them. And so keep with that in mind. How was it with you coming up as a child?
For me, coming up as a child was very challenging. I am a PK kid.
Ah,
So I am one of those who was at church Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and all of those things. And what that did for me, it just became a routine. And back then in the late 80s and 90s, it was the fire and brimstone. So I didn't really teach about the love of God. It was more so you got to live your holy life or you're going to hell.
mm,
They didn't teach grace. They didn't teach mercy. They didn't teach compassion. It was you have to do it to the T or you're going to hell. And that's the way that I grew up as it pertains to church. As far as my home living life, my mom, I grew up as a single parent household.
right.
I didn't know my father. The last memory that I have of my father was about 3 years old, and he cut up everything in the house and set
Oh,
the house on fire with us in the house. And that was the last memory that I had saw him. So my mom did what she had to do to raise us. She never talked negative about him. She
mm,
never said, "Your father is no good." She just did what she had to do and just raised us. She didn't concern about child support. She just took it upon herself to raise us. So as far as family dynamics, that's how I grew up in my household. And being a Christian and coming up as a PK kid, what it did for me, especially as my mom being a pastor,
right.
I felt honestly and transparent. I really felt neglected a lot because I
Mm,
saw her go to church and pray for other people and have her to say, "Well, give your children grace and just pray for them." But when it came to her children, she didn't have that same attitude.
wow.
It wasn't like that. We didn't get the grace and mercy. We got beat, we got punished, and things of that nature. So when I went through that, getting older, when I became in my teens, I became very rebellious. And I contributed church to Jesus. I couldn't distinguish that
Mm,
Jesus didn't do these things to me. The church did those things to me. So I didn't want, when I got to the age of 18 and 19 and in my early 20s, I didn't want nothing to do with church at all. Period.
wow. Wow. So let me ask you this question. Going back with when you mentioned concerning your father, that's an early age to not have that father in your life at age 3. And I don't know the dynamics of it and how much you remember because you were only 3. But as a young woman, and I know you say you felt neglected, and that was clearly concerning when you was mentioned, being a PK with your mom. But as a young woman, did you miss something not having that male father figure to be there for you, can you speak to that? Because I know it's a lot of young
I
girls that
can
don't
speak
have
to that. And it's so much and it runs so deep. And it starts first of all with my self-esteem. I
that.
felt like, why did he leave me? What is it that I did that was so wrong that he didn't want to be in my life? And over the years, when I was younger, I always seek male attention. And
Mm,
back in those days, when I was like 12, I would do things like talk to men who are 30 and 35. Because at the time, I didn't really realize that's what I was seeking,
yes.
a father. And
Right.
I lied about my age because I wanted to date them, because I was looking for a father.
Right.
And of course, none of that went well. They took advantage of me. And I settled with men because I didn't know how I was to be treated. And
Wow.
I will always be the giver of a man. My expectations wasn't to you take me on a date or you open the door for me. I was just happy to have a male presence in my life just to be around me because I didn't have a father. So I just settled for any and everything. And because of that, I was verbally abused, a couple of times physically abused. So I missed a lot. I didn't, not having a father, especially. We speaking to not having a father for our boys. But when
Right.
it comes to the girls, you really hear how it affects us. very
Right.
much. We have no standard to look for when we go to date, when we go to get married. We don't have a standard. And if you don't have a father there who tells you that you're precious, who tells you that you're valuable, you don't know that. And then what happens when men come around and they see that you don't have a father or uncle around you, my experience has been they take advantage of you because they feel like, okay, her father ain't gonna come to the door with a Glock. I can take advantage of her.
Right. Right.
So that was my experience, not having a father for that validation to make me feel worthy, to make me
Right.
feel safe. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel protected up until my adulthood.
Right. And you know what, Candace, that makes so much sense of what you're saying, and that's why I wanted you to elaborate on that, on how you felt, because I know with me, with my own daughter, just I had to realize some of the things she says concerning me was it just seems normal for me, but I had to realize later on in life, like, wow, a lot of people don't have that. For instance, when she would date someone, and if she feel like it's getting serious, she'd be like, you know, you got to meet my daddy. And I
Yeah.
was like, of course they got to meet. But it's so instilled in her that certain things she know that her daddy got to be involved in her life. She gives me a location. Hey, I need you to
My
know,
God.
case something happens, So I'm like, why you give me your location?
Yes.
Because and I had to realize, like, okay. But I also thought about the fact that the young ladies that don't have that in their lives, they don't have, and I'm so quick to talk about how it's so lax now with the dating thing. A young man pulling up for the girl, blowing the horn, and she runs out there. Oh no, hold up, wait a minute, come to
That's
this door.
right.
Come
You don't.
meet the father, the brother, whoever,
Right.
what male figure is in this house, so we can put some fear in you that, hey, she
That's
got
right.
he got somebody here. Okay.
That's right.
So, and that's why I was making mention of that, because so many young ladies don't don't have that, and did not have that as well. So how do you survive through that, not having that, and dealing with it?
It took me a very long time. It took me a very long time. But through self work, first I had to identify that it was a problem
Right.
because I grew up saying, and a lot of women do, oh, I don't need a father. My mom took care of me. It didn't matter. We make excuses and not realizing if we look back, the decisions that we have made, the patterns in our life that we have made, it all stemmed from that. So I had to do a lot of self work. I had to
Mm.
do therapy and
Wow.
identify the problem. First, I had to acknowledge that it was a problem. So I started connecting the dots. So I had to go through therapy and talk it out and work it out. And even at my age, in my 40s, I still have to do the work as it pertains to my father because I realized that, wow, my life would have been so much different if
Mm.
I had my father in my life. So many things would have been different. Not just dating men. I think I would have valued myself more. I would have felt much more protected. I would have known what to accept and what not to accept if I had my father, even in my older age. So I had
Right.
to do the work through therapy.
Well, you know what? That's commendable to you, because first of all, you just mentioned that you're in your 40s, but you also mentioned your father was gone when you was age 3. So that's a bunch of decades that you're still here. You're
Yes,
still here, and you acknowledge, self-aware, that you're still fighting to deal with a situation. You didn't you were self-aware. You didn't sweep it up under the rug. It's a work that you still have to deal with constantly. And I think that's some of the um, mistakes or misconceptions that some of the young girls have. And you spoke to her. You was like you was trying to find the father figure in other men, and
Yep.
that's it's kind of a normal thing because you looking you're missing. You're supposed to have that female and that male union there to be able to go to for the nurturing and the protecting. But when one is missing, you kind of gravitate towards
Yes.
whatever that's out there that resembles something that you feel, and then you're adolescent, you're young, your mind hasn't developed, so you still don't know it. And I'm saying this because I sure hope some young woman is listening to what you're saying because you're saying some powerful stuff. So let's speak to after you don't. Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I
Go
speak
ahead,
before we
please,
move on? Can I
please.
speak
Go ahead,
into
please.
something to that? And let me tell you what the love of God did for me. I didn't come back in contact with my dad until I turned 30 years old. I
Mm,
am his youngest daughter. He has three other children. And I am the only one that is here for him now. He's a vet. He calls me now
mm.
to take him to his appointments.
No,
He relies on me to give him his dinner. And when I look back, I say, God, you have such a sense of humor. And I just think, what if my mom would have grown me up saying, your daddy ain't, you
right,
know what I'm saying? I'm being real. Or you just like your dad. If I harbored that hate in
right,
my heart, I wouldn't be able to love him and help him the way that I do now
right,
because he needs me. He wouldn't
right.
be able to survive and live the kind of life that he's living now. When came back in contact with him in my 30s, he was living on the streets. And
Mm,
he was living on the streets for over 25 years. And he was okay with that. And when I got back in contact with him, I got him on the road to get him the services that he needed. So I just want to share that. A lot of times when women go through things and we have our father's issues, yes, it's their fault. But at some point, we have to take accountability and do the work for ourselves. We can't continue to hold on to that hurt and that pain. It is our responsibility to heal ourselves. Maybe he didn't have the capacity to be a father. Maybe he was better off not being in my life because who knows, he could have been more abusive.
mm.
So when I look back now, I'm saying, God, I just thank you for that. So I just wanted to share that part versus how I grew up and how our relationship is now.
Now I'm glad you interjected that because that was a big change of events from the man that cut up clothes and stuff and burnt the house,
And set the
and
house on fire.
now you're doing what you needed. So that again, that's a testament of who you are in Christ, because it ain't you, it's the God that's
It's
in you.
only the love
It
of
is the
God because
God that's in
Candace
you,
don't have it. Candace don't have
man.
it. I'm not
Look,
that good. I'm a work in
look,
progress. So
that
it's
that
definitely the love of God.
that's it. That's it. So let's segue into another question. I know you may mention concerning how you went to different men or whatever and had relations. So tell us, when did you ever become a mother, conceive a child?
I did
Okay,
at the age of 31. At the big
31.
old age of 31,
Not in
I
your teens,
finally
not in your
became,
20s. 31.
not in
Okay.
my 20s. I was
Okay.
the
Okay.
old mother. I was the old mother. So much to the fact when I would try to do Chuck E. Cheese dates, all of my peers, their their children were in college. So I started very, very late.
Oh Lord, that's funny. Okay. Okay. So what was it? What's it like, thinking about what you dealt with your child, and you're a single parent, correct?
Yes.
What's it like being now you're that parent? You made mention of what you thought about both of your parents. Now you're that parent. Talk to us about that.
Whoa. That's that's something else. And I
Okay.
will say this before I segue into that. I was not an easy child. I was very rebellious.
Okay.
I was the child that did what I wanted to do,
Hmm.
and I just accept the consequences. My sister, she would sneak out the house and tell my mom she was asleep in the closet. Me, on the other hand, listen, I went out the front door. I'll just take my consequences when I come back, right? So when I found out that it was time for me to be a mother, I was really fearful because I
Mm.
said, God, can I do this?
Wow.
And I have always worked with kids. I've worked with kids um, for 25 years. So
Right.
raising other people's children, but they go home at 5 o'clock.
Right.
So
Right.
raising my own was a different story.
Right.
And where I started from, I told myself everything that disappointed me from my mom and my father, I would do the complete opposite.
Wow.
That's what I
That's a
told
good point.
myself.
That's a good
I
point.
won't if my son, which his name is Caleb, if he has
Okay.
any trauma, I vowed to myself it won't be trauma from his mom. I can't protect him from the world, but one thing that I stood on is he will not have trauma from me. So I
Yes.
did everything opposite.
Gotcha.
And raising him now that he's going into his preteens, I remember what life was like when I was a teen. So I don't just say, you do this, do as I say, do as I say, don't do as I do. I remember the temptations that I had, the kind of music that my mom thought was so horrible, the peer pressure.
Mm.
I don't forget that I once was a child and I made mistakes and I was disobedient at times. So my job as his mom was to teach him the right way,
Right.
right? So, from my background with working with kids, I firmly believe by the age of 7, a child's character is already developed. You do not start raising your child at 10 and 11.
Mm.
It's too late. You have to start early. So I started those things early. I implement those things that I wanted him to be so he can be a decent human being in society. And the tricky part about it is God gave me a boy. Oh my
Why
gosh.
is that? Why is that the tricky part?
How do I raise a boy? Not having my father, not having an example.
Good
I didn't
point.
even
I see.
grow up. All of my aunts have girls. My sister,
Wow.
girls. My grandmother, all girls, one boy. So, for an example of a man, what
Right.
to do, I didn't know. I had to truly lean and depend on God. I
Wow.
really did.
Wow. So look, you've gone through a lot, you've dealt with a lot, and honestly, when we were talking earlier before we start even recording, you was like, I got a story. I I was not prepared for a lot of things that you said, um, but again, me knowing you and seeing you, it's just amazing, and you can just see that God is in it, and he's working behind the scenes. uh, of love and forgiveness, because for you to
Yes,
do the things you do, and it's things that I know that you haven't spoke of, but I'm thinking about, and I was like, wow, for you to do what you do, that's applaudable, that's amazing. And so before we go and you know conclude, what can you tell both the young women and the young men? What nuggets can you give them as a life lesson? Because you've been, like you say, you've been around kids. You know some of the things that they dealt with. They some that are dealing with some things right now. You know the ins and outs, especially in this day and time. This is 2025. This is a different day when we were growing up.
correct.
What are some things that you can tell them right now that really might aid them and help them in life, and even in a Christian life, as it walking as a young person in Christ?
As it pertains to the village,
Mm,
growing up, we said it takes a village to raise a child.
right,
And unfortunately, in this day and time, the village is broken. You don't know who to trust.
mm,
You don't know who has the best intentions for your children. So that's what discernment comes in at. So I would first of all like to speak into the ear of the parents,
right,
because it's not just being single. You have married people. And guess what? The mama's still single because all the dad do is provide the money. They don't know what the child like. They don't know
right,
what size the child wears. They have no clue what's going on with the child.
right,
So it's such thing that you could be married and still be a single mom, and it's
right,
unfortunate. But I will say this. First of all, talking to our parents, please do the work for yourself to
amen,
heal your trauma,
amen,
because you cannot raise a healthy child if you're broken, because you're going to do nothing but pass those bad habits, those generational curses, the hurts that you feel, you're going to pass it down to them. And sometimes not even realizing it. It's just because, especially in our culture, and especially as women, we are just taught just to go with the road. You know, we go with the flow. We don't stop. We just keep on going. We have to be strong. We're taught, oh, we got to be so strong. We got to be so strong and keep going. But sometimes you have to step back and realize and identify the traumas and the disappointments and the hurts that you have before we pass them to our children.
right,
And as it pertains to our children, I
right,
remember saying, Mom, we are living in a different time. But like you said, in 2025, it
mm,
really is a different time. I almost call us, excuse me for the word that I'm going to use, I almost call our children, y'all some smart dummies,
mm,
because we use technology and we have so many things that's advanced, but it don't teach them how to use their mind.
right,
Our children don't know how to process their emotions.
right,
And even especially with our boys, we tell them, you don't have no emotions. Suck it up. You're a man.
right,
What does that mean? What does that mean?
right,
You're a man. You don't have it. They need to have emotions. And we as parents, we have to give our children grace, because we
right,
don't know what they go through from
right,
day to day.
exactly,
They see
exactly,
so much, and the world is so much smaller. And when I say the world is so much smaller now, it's because I can be here in Miami and I can know the culture in Dubai. I can know the culture in Tokyo. I
Yes.
can know the culture in LA because social media is here. See, we didn't have that.
Right.
We didn't have the habits and the things that other people did in their neighborhoods. All we knew is the neighborhood we grew up in.
Right.
But now they're exposed to so
Very much
much,
so. Very much so.
even in the cartoons. It's like, what
Yes, sir.
what in the world
Yeah.
is going on? So we have to let them be able to talk and express themselves and give them a safe space.
Yes.
And it's not being nosy. We need to know what our children is doing.
That part.
If they have a code on their phone, you need to know that code. Okay. And when we're talking about little children, even my 13-year-old, I have security things. He can't even download certain apps unless I approve it.
Yes.
And we don't want to be parents anymore. We're so busy caught up into our own world and oh, I just gotta put a roof over their heads and pay the bills. I guarantee you, most of these kids, they can care less about a Jordan, about an Air Force. They want our time.
Yeah.
They want to be able to talk to us and say, Mom or Dad, I had a bad day at school. My teacher is doing this, or my friend did this. We grew up just saying, oh, the adult is always right.
Right.
And sometimes that's not always the case.
Right.
Yes, we always to show them respect,
Right.
but we have to treat how we used to say back in the day, treat others as we want to be treated.
Right.
It pertains to our children as well.
Yes.
We have to realize, even though they are our children and God gave us and
Right.
loaned them
Right.
to us,
Right. Right. Right.
they
Right.
still have feelings.
Right.
They still have emotions. They still have their own way of thinking. And we can't uh put our things of how we feel onto them.
Right.
We have to give them the right tools and just pray to God that they follow the way that they supposed to go. And we can't put unrealistic expectations on our children because we want to look good.
Right.
And we say, oh, don't you go embarrassing me. No, we shouldn't teach them that. We should teach them, listen, this is your life. You should want your name to be great.
Right.
You should want to keep your word. This is for you. When
Right.
you go to school, I got my education. This is for you. This is so you can have a better future.
Right.
Not because I just want you to do good, but you should take pride in your schoolwork. You should take pride when you walk outside. You know, our children shouldn't be outside with their pants hanging down and no belt. And even if they have locks, just any kind of way, being ungroomed.
Right.
No. We shouldn't want them to look the best just because we want other people to think we got it going on. We should instill it in them that they can be the best that they
Right.
want to be. Because believe it or not, children thrive off of structure.
Mhm.
They really do. They love structure.
Right.
And if you give them the pattern and what to do before you know it, and
They
when we think that they're not listening, they
exactly.
are
They
listening.
are listening. You're right.
They
You're
are
right.
listening. And we have to be careful to not just say, do what I say and not as I do. Because guess what? When we go through the drive through and they get our orders wrong, are we cussing the people out?
Mm.
So if we doing that, that's what we're teaching our kids. We're telling them to respect people, but then they see us disrespect people. And
Mm,
we can't do that.
that's
We
it.
have to be the example. We
Exactly.
have to live our life in such a way because they're looking at us. They
Right.
could care less about what we say. They want to know what mom and dad is doing on a daily basis.
Exactly. Exactly. But and you said something so very important about communication, because yeah, it can be the positive thing. Hey, I got this good grade, or this happened, I scored a touchdown, or this has happened, I got this problem right in school. But it can also be so and so touched me this
That's
way.
it.
Someone
Yes.
gave me this to smoke or gave me this
Yes.
pill. But when we don't have those conversations,
That's right.
they go to the wrong person. Look, Candace, your story is heavy, and you
And
know what?
especially being in the Christian community,
Look,
we shy away from these things.
we
We
do.
have to talk about sex. We have to talk about drugs because back in our day, the worst thing we had was weed. This weed that they
Yeah,
have, they lacing it with other things.
yeah.
It's
It's so
just
much,
not
so much.
safe.
It's so much.
It's not
It's so
safe.
much. It's so much.
And we can't shy away from these
We can't.
things just because we are Christian, that the devil go play with our children more because we are anointed. So we have to let them know and talk to them and prepare them for this world because
Right.
this world will eat them up and spit them out.
And that's the whole reason why we're doing this. Look, your story is heavy. This can't be one segment. You need to come back. Can we
I
schedule
have
another
to.
time? Can we?
I have
Because
to.
I
I
got
have
some
to.
questions that I didn't get a chance to ask you, and you threw some deep stuff on me. You can't blindside me like that. But look, hey, I appreciate you coming on. We're gonna get you back on here again, because it's some other things that you definitely need to share, especially to
Yes.
these young ladies out there. I mean,
Yes.
I'm like, wow. And like I said, I got some specific questions concerning some things that you said, but I'm gonna
Yes.
wait to that next segment.
Please do.
So we're gonna reschedule. We're gonna reschedule another segment. Hey, don't wait too long now, because
No, no,
I want
no,
all this
no.
fresh.
It's needed for
It
such a
it's
time as
needed.
this. It's
It's
now.
needed. And
It's
and
now.
to and to all the viewers, and once again, I thank you all for just dropping by, listening, because we're trying to help. This is kingdom building stuff, and
Yes.
these guests come on. They're pouring out into you all, trying to help and trying to do godly work, because it's needed. And social media in itself is not a bad thing, because we're
Correct.
out here trying to do something positive.
Yes.
However, there are some things in social media that are horrific, and
Mm,
that's what we're trying to prevent our young people from diving into. So once again, Candace, we're gonna get you back out here. Uh,
thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for
Thank
joining
you.
joining me here at It Takes a Christian Village, and we'll be back with a whole lot more guests to speak some life and positivity into you all, and Candace coming back too. So
Yes,
thank you.
I pray I do. Each
All right,
one reach one.
all
Each
right
one reach
then.
one. God bless you.
All right, so we check y'all out. Thanks again.
All right.
All right, so all I can say is she's coming back. Because A, I know she has more to say. And B, I got more to ask her. So, hey, we thank God, thank Candace for coming in and sharing and being transparent with her story of life. And that's the thing. I know there are a lot of young people, male and female, maybe going through some of the same situations, some similar, some maybe exact. But that's what we're trying to do, bring out different stories, bring out different articles that may touch some of these young people's lives, and in essence help them with some situations that they're dealing with. And some of them may be thinking that they're dealing with it alone, but you are not alone. That's why we're talking about this thing called a Christian village. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take a Christian village for prayer, supplication, helping, listening, encouraging, motivating. That's what we should be doing with our young people today. So that being said, again, thank you all for coming out. Again, like, share, subscribe, so we can get this word out, so we can help these young kids. And one more footnote: if you get a chance, check out my book on Amazon, Irregular Family Bond. It addresses a lot of the things that Candace was just talking about concerning what happened to her, and I know that are things that are happening with a lot of our young people. So, but once again, thank you all for coming out and just listening to the little bit of things that we're trying to say, we're trying to do, we're trying to convey. I appreciate you. Once again, hey, this is Nate with It Takes a Christian Village.